Jim.
Hi, Rain. Welcome back to Northern California.
Thank you. It's always good to get out of the southern central, Midwest, Arkansas.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you call it? Lots of tornadoes last night.
What do you guys do about sustainability in your neck of the woods?
Well, embarrassingly enough, Arkansas doesn't have enough. They don't have enough going on there. So it's nice to be in Northern California because there's a lot of sustainability going on, and it's great to work for Compass Group and with Intuit because we have a lot of initiatives that I can talk to, people about when I'm at the country club.
Exactly. So we're going to do a couple of great recipes today that demonstrating how you can use food that normally would go into the trash or the landfill. It's going to be really exciting, but I wanted to start off by telling you guys a little bit about how we manage waste in our cafes with Intuit. We have a program called Trim Tracks, and every chef at all of their stations has a bucket that we measure all of the waste that's not usable every day. And we actually categorize the waste as different types of waste so we can actually drill down on that information later. We use another program called Waste Not 2.0 where we put all that data into the computer, and at the end of the week, end of the month, end of the quarter, we can see where we're at with our sustainability scores and how much we're using to produce all the food that we do here, and then we can adjust things to be more sustainable. As we know, it's a huge initiative for our company as well as our clients here at Intuit. So without further ado, we're going to start with a little interesting recipe that I learned about.
I heard a rumor that it's banana peel barbecue, and I don't know.
Now, being from the Central South, I'm sure that sounds very odd.
It sounds very odd.
But trust me, I thought it was odd too, being from the Midwest, and with the popularity of barbecue in the United States, I'd never heard of this before until recently. Apparently for decades in South America, specifically Brazil and Venezuela, they've been using banana peels to substitute meat for vegans for decades. And they've been very creative with that. And we snagged one of their recipes today. We're going to use that to tell you a little bit about how you can actually use banana peels as a meat substitute or a plant-forward substitute.
I don't know, Jim. You're going to have to make me a believer.
I'm going to make you a believer. Are you ready? All right, cool.
Yes, let's do this.
So let's just pretend we have some bananas here, and normally we would, put this on our granola or in a smoothie. But what do you usually do with the peel?
Goes in the trash.
Right in the trash. And if you're one little step above sustainability, you might have a compost bin in your backyard, but that's where a lot of people hopefully put it. But for now, yeah, it generally goes in the trash and creates all that methane gas that's so bad for our environment.
I know a lot of people think that, even I, growing up and until the last 10 years, thought that just food waste going into the landfill was benign, and it's really not.
It's absolutely not. It definitely affects the environment, as we can see in all the different changes we've seen with the atmosphere, especially in California with all the rain, right? So here's what I'm going to show you guys really quick version of this, but basically you want to cut the tips off so you have a nice uniform piece, and you just peel the banana like you normally would. That goes in my smoothies for the next couple of days, or we're sampling actually a nice banana bread for you guys later too, so we're going to repurpose this or use it in something that we would normally cook with, and we're going to take these banana peels and show you guys how to make vegan pulled pork. That's right, I said it again.
Vegan.
I said pork barbecue. And vegan in the same sentence.
And I'm from Arkansas, so I live between Memphis and Kansas City.
That's where the barbecue is.
Just above Texas. So I like to think of myself as a connoisseur of barbecue.
All right, I bet you get a lot of good barbecue. What are you doing here? All right, so I'm removing the inside pith of the banana here. It tends to be pretty stringy, and so that's what we do. We're going to remove the inside of it, and then we're going to shred it. And then basically it's a barbecue rub. It's a very simple recipe actually. It's a barbecue rub that we're going to add to the banana peels to give it that flavor. I think you guys get the idea of what I'm doing here, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop there, and I'll show you how to shred them. Okay, so we're going to get this out of here. Get that to our compost bin. Biggest culinary invention ever, right? The fork.
The fork.
It actually works perfectly for what we're doing here. You guys can see up top. You just take the peel from one side and you hold it, and you just drag the fork through, and believe it or not, it makes perfect shreds in this thing.
That looks like it might be brisket.
See, you're getting into it already. Good.
Maybe a little pulled pork.
All right, so you can see where that comes. Now, obviously, this is going to be something that you'd probably use as an appetizer, because at home, you're not going to have a ton of banana peels, but I do know at home sometimes we make plantains where we, crisp up the plantains, and the kids like them with a little bit of sugar and cinnamon, And I never do anything with the peels, so maybe this would be a good something that we could do as an appetizer with the peel too.
So you cook at home?
Do I cook at home? I always cook at home, almost every day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I make salad.
Do you make salad? Are you not a big cook at home or what?
I'm not a big cook at home.
No.
I make salads.
Well,
and sandwiches. I'm a great sandwich maker.
We need you to tell us how to be healthy and guys like me to cook it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here we have our banana peels all shredded up nice. And then we're going to take our barbecue rub mixer. Now, there's tons of barbecue rubs on the market. You probably have one in your cupboard already. But this is just a really simple recipe with a little bit of brown sugar, nutmeg, cayenne, and paprika. And we're just going to toss this in this liberally. And because we're going to make it right now, we want to season it as well. So I'm just going to toss this like this to get it coated. Now, the recipe we have says let it sit for 15 minutes or so. That's a very good idea. As these spices, it'll give them time to marry with the banana. But as we cook this, the heat that is going to open up all of the spices that are dry from the cupboard. So it's going to really perfume the dish with all those great barbecue spices. So a little bit of salt, just like that. All right, and then you just take it over to the stove and you put a little water in it and you just simmer it until you get the texture you want. So let's get to that. Let's heat this up for you guys really quick, and then we can see how it is when we finish it up.
Jim, we forgot the heat.
Oh my gosh, we don't have heat. I don't know what.
are we gonna do?
You know what? I have an idea. You guys wait right here.
Hurry, Jim.
All right, like I said over there, you gotta let the spices marinate for a little bit just to get the flavors in there. Now the idea here is to toast all those spices so that their flavors get really pronounced and prominent. We're going to barbecue this. So if I start off, you're going to add a little water to the pan. Let's just half water there. We're going to simmer this and make a stew until the banana peels are tender. Now you're going to ask me how long. Thank you. Really depends on how the bananas are, whether they're ripe or green, how thick they are. How long you're going to stew it. So I can see that the water's evaporating a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit more. You want to cook that till it's tender a little bit. Starting to get tender here. How do you tell they're tender? You got to try it. Give it a little taste. Got a good texture. All the spices are waking up in all that nice heat. We're going to simmer this down just a little bit more. And now we're going to add our barbecue sauce. Good. Make the pulled pork effect. So again, we're going to simmer this until it's the consistency that we're looking for. I know you're in a hurry to try this, so now that I got it cooked, I'm going to go back to the stage and we can serve it out to you guys. Wow, that was quite the adventure, but I finished. We made it back safe for everybody, so
that was
we made
great.
it.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think? Does that smell great or what?
That smells That smells suspiciously like barbecue.
I tasted it over there, so guess what?
Yeah.
It's your turn.
My turn. Oh.
Here you go. Just a little bite for you. And tell us
bite.
about the flavor and textures that you get there.
Oh my gosh.
Delicious, right?
That is amazing.
That's pretty cool. I was
so
happily
good.
surprised as well. So you can serve this, as a little sandwich here. So I'm just going to plate it up, and we do have samples at the end of the demo for you guys to give it a try yourself. Off to the side there. So I'm just going to plate it up a little bit, just like you would like a normal pulled pork. And these are perfect little sliders, so they're a great portion for what we're trying to do.
I like a lot of plants in my diet. This is definitely something I'm going to add to it.
Oh, good. I believe it or not, I am too, because like I said, I made it at home. I'm going to make it home for the kids and everything. But anyway, then we got some little sandwiches. You guys can eat that a little bit later. But that's how you make vegan pulled pork, everybody.
Now, what are we going to do with all of this? Thank you. Now, what are we going to do with all these bananas?
The bananas, well, actually, we use them to make banana bread. That's pretty common. I'm going to be, eating from making all the pulled pork for you guys today. I'll be eating bananas for the next 5 days or so for breakfast to make sure. But no, all kidding aside, normally the fruit is what gets used first, and the peels are what we have to deal with. So usually we use them for pastries and whatnot, but sometimes we use them for salads and puddings and breakfast, overnight oats and stuff like that. So today we actually use these to make banana bread for you guys. Using a small business that you're going to tell us all about, aren't you?
I'm going to tell you about Miffy's Foods. Miffy has a great story. She is from Australia, and she lives here in the United States now. When she was a kid, she said that embarrassingly, she was the girl that had the brown bread, and her parents only had whole oats in the house. And she, as a teenager, kind of rejected a lot of the things that her parents taught her and wanted her to do. I think that's like most teenagers.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, fast forward 20 years when she has her own family, and she is really into sustainability and feeding her family well, using sugar, or not using sugar, but using fruit as a natural sugar to sweeten things. And so in her real job, in her first job, in her first career, like everybody has a first career, she would take things that she would make at home, like cookies and cakes and breads, and take them to work, and people loved them. So she honed her craft, and then
where did she work again? That was something.
She worked for Nike.
Nike, wow.
As a market producer. So she had a great job.
Well received.
Yeah, well received. So how would you like to be on the receiving end of great baked goods every day? I
wouldn't be mad at it, that's for sure.
So she learned some things from Nike, and following her passion was one of them. And so her second career is she started Miffy's Foods, and she makes this amazing baking mix that we use. There's Miffy up on the screen. She uses great baking mix that we use in our cafes for banana bread, scones, muffins, and what she
people
calls,
love it for sure.
Yeah, she calls it daggy fruit.
Daggy fruit? Okay.
Daggy fruit. Fruit that's a little ugly.
Oh, okay. We have another name for that. It's called imperfectly delicious produce.
We do have a name. Yeah. That's what we do call it.
We're going to talk about that a little bit later too, I think.
Yeah. So let's watch a little video about imperfectly delicious produce.
Great.
And we'll get started.
Yeah, and I'll tell you more about it when it's done.
When you work on a farm, you realize how different it is than even having a garden. The whole idea with farming is that you want to do it again next year. To make a living on a farm, you need to be efficient, you need to have a good quality product, and build your reputation on that. So we want to grow a beautiful, high quality #1 carrot or leek or potato or parsnip or whatever we're growing, so that the customer on the other end can really look at it and say, that's beautiful. The reality is, when you pull a bunch of carrots out of the ground, some of them have actually twisted around and they're wrapped around each other. That doesn't get sent to a grocery store. So when Compass Group approached us, they wanted to know, what do you do with all the stuff that you end up pulling out of your boxes if it's not, perfectly straight? And we told them, well, we just compost it. And they told us they were interested in buying some of the produce. They were sure that their chefs could work their magic with it. IDP stands for imperfectly delicious produce. That's a good way to describe it. No offense to the vegetable. It feels really good to know that, all of this produce that we've been pulling off to the side and sending to the compost pile has a home now.
As a chef, it's our responsibility to tell the story behind the food that we serve. For us to source a product like IDP from the local farmer. It's a great opportunity. There's no reason why we shouldn't be using food because it's not pretty. The reality of this dish, you're going to get a dish that you would see in any restaurant and you would be happy to eat. It's a beautiful dish. And that dish came from a hideous overgrown leek. It's easy as a chef to forget about the farmer. So part of IDP is reconnecting the chef and farmer. If a farmer is being supported by a local chef, then a farmer is able to expand his business. Maybe he can grow a little more, maybe he gets new equipment, maybe he hires more people. We support the local economy a little more, the economy grows. We have more customers because more people have the means to purchase our product. And it's simply by using a product that would be thrown in the trash. And that's how we started, and that's just the base, the first step. So where do we go from here?
Right, thank you for that. And hello, my fellow advocates for sustainability. Thank you for joining us today for our Stop Food Waste Day live teaching kitchen. My name is Dylan Mulholland, and I'm part of the At Your Table team here in Mountain View. Today, we gather to raise awareness and explore solutions to addressing the pressing issue of food waste that not only affects our environment, but also our food security. With the world population expected to reach 9.7 billion by 2050, the need to reduce food waste has become more critical than ever. Furthermore, we cannot discuss food waste without addressing the issue of commercial food packaging waste. Every year, millions of tons of plastic waste end up in landfills, polluting our environment and contributing to climate change. As we strive to reduce food waste, we must also work towards finding sustainable solutions for packaging and reducing the amount of waste generated in our food industry. Today, we'll explore some innovative approaches and technologies that can help us reduce plastic waste and ensure a more sustainable future for all. In an effort to reduce our waste, the At Your Table team in Mountain View has partnered with Eco Refill Systems to completely eliminate the cafe's plastic containers of cooking oil. It's my pleasure to introduce the founder and CEO of Eco Refill Systems, a leading company providing sustainable packaging solutions for the food industry. With over 20 years of experience, she's been a driving force in promoting sustainability and reducing waste in the food industry, and under her leadership, Eco Refill Systems has developed innovative solutions that have helped numerous businesses reduce their plastic waste and minimize their environmental impact. We're thrilled to have her here today to share her expertise and insights on the future of sustainable packaging. Please join me in welcoming Bernadette Ceroli. Bernadette, thanks for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. Is this on?
Yep.
Thank you, Dylan, for having me.
Yeah, so tell us about yourself and tell me about your background in the food industry.
Well, like you said, I started in 1998. And back then, we started with a single container of about 7,500 gallon units of one kind of extra virgin. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I could just sell 100 of these a month, it'll take me just 7 months. And then I've, wiped out the entire container. Well, to my surprise, at the end of 30 days with that first container, I'm scrambling to get another container on the water because it was so well received by chefs in the Bay Area, especially in San Francisco and the surrounding cities. It was relatively new, extra virgin, and the benefits of extra virgin in their diets, and the chefs really just embraced it. And so 2 years later, we're supplying Cisco, US Foods, By-Right, all the big distributors of all of not just the extra virgin, but also blended oils. Because we were walking in kitchens and chefs were pouring their own blends, and we thought, we could do that for you, and we could calibrate the machine so much easier.
Yeah.
And so that's how it started, with just a single variety.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me about this Sfwd. What is this? How did you go about sourcing it? Tell me a little about this product.
Okay. Just a little bit of background. So that original company needed a design for the packaging in 2010. So I started working on that project and realized that all of the plastics that we were using in our packaging, because of its contents, were all destined to the landfills. So none of it, unless it was brought back to its original state that we purchased it from, none of it was ever going to be recycled or reclaimed. So, and that was back in 2010, and in 2012, we closed that company so I could do the research and development into this company and the Sfwds. So I looked at a few makers of these units and found this company in Italy that had the best top quality craftsmanship and really worked with us on how to work with, starting with oil and then moving on to vinegars, and discovered that it's good for other items in food service. So the biggest thing about the Sfwds and this particular maker is, aside from the craftsmanship, is really the cleanliness. It's great when you can get a product to work in the back of the house, but it's got to get cleaned,
Right.
so that it can be refilled over and over. So that a lot of time was spent on that as well, and voila.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah, I actually call them my handsome Italians. So.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar, so we actually get these filled, and then we use them in the kitchen, and then when they're empty, Eco Refills comes and picks them up for us and delivers a fresh one. So eliminating the plastic waste.
Yeah.
Now,
Thank you.
yeah, and now Bernadette, I know you're a very you are a big advocate of the environment. So tell me a
Yes.
little bit about the practices you employ at home that our viewers can,
Oh my
can
goodness.
also do to help fight food waste.
Well, let's start with the food waste, because it's a food waste day. I have a neighbor that has chickens, so my food waste goes to that neighbor and cut her feed cost by half.
Wow.
So a lot of it also goes into our own garden, because we grow a few of our own vegetables.
You have a compost pile.
And absolutely have a compost pile. So that's number one. And of course, we don't use any single-use packaging. We wash all of our dishes, all of our plates when we have events and parties. And we all pretty much use refillables, especially for waters and stuff like that. And if we do have a jar of glass, it'll be in glass, not plastic, and I reuse those to give away to people. Because I also grow my own shoots, and I use those glass jars to grow things hydroponically, and they just go to people.
Sweet. Well, thank you, Bernadette. Thank you so much for telling us about your company and for sharing your best practices with us.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for having
So
me.
you can find Eco Refill systems in our cafes here on campus. And if you brought your own bottle today, we're going to be filling up with a local olive oil over at our station after the show. So now please join us in watching a brief video on sustainable ways to utilize asparagus, and then we'll get back to the cooking with Jim and Rain, where we'll utilize Bernadette's olive oil as well as the asparagus we're about to watch. So
Yay.
Thank you, Bernadette.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, welcome back. Thank you very much, Bernadette. We love having you guys on campus. We are piloting this program here in Mountain View in the hopes to actually go all across all of our units that are out there for Intuit. That's coming to a cafe very soon to you, but we are here in Mountain View now, and it's going great. And like Nate said, we're doing a pesto today, a dressing that's a classic Italian condiment, utilizing the extra virgin olive oil canola blend. So it's got that nice fruity flavor of the extra virgin olive oil, and then it's got like the neutral kind of balances out a little bit, so it doesn't overpower or flavor our sauce too much, just enough, right?
Well, no, this is going to be a simple recipe, right? Because I like things that don't have a whole lot of ingredients.
Exactly. Well, you said you wanted to make this one, and I know how much cooking you do at home, so I thought this would be a good one for you.
I eat salad because there's 5 ingredients, five things go in my
we're
salad.
going to do that very simple recipe too. So this is a pesto recipe, and you know, classically pesto's made with a lot of fresh basil. But you know, over the years, chefs have been being very creative with the different ingredients in pesto. So we're going to do the same thing here. We had some blanched broccoli that we had from a dish this morning, and we had some asparagus stalks that we only needed the tips for a high-end event. So what are we going to do with this stuff? I mean, why not make a pesto out of it? It's going to be a nice green color. The flavors are still going to be classic, and I'll even talk about how to make it vegan as well.
This is fantastic. You know, the thing with food waste, and this is a great example, this stems from the asparagus. A lot of people don't eat them. They just eat the tops. This is completely edible. But the amount of food that we waste could feed over 800 million people in the world every day. That's a lot of food that we're throwing
Good thing we're
out.
talking about this so we can do it more often.
All right, let's get started. Teach me how to make this.
Cool.
And can I put this on a pasta?
You can totally put this on a pasta. I like to drizzle on bread, dips for vegetables. I use it to marinate proteins before they hit the grill. I mean, it's just endless.
I love it. Let's do it.
All right.
Okay,
All right. So this is a blended dish. So we're gonna actually start with the garlic, as it's our most kind of strongest flavor that we have. And we're gonna run that a little bit just to get a little chop on it. So it's gonna hit a couple times. So we got a nice rough chop. The other good thing about using these asparagus stems is they tend to be a little bit woody towards the bottom. So like it said in the video, just snap it off at the natural breaking point, because that bottom part is pretty inedible. There's really not too much to do with that, but the worms love it in the compost. So we're using the middle part of the stalk here. We're gonna chop this up in the machine a little bit, and then we'll finish it up.
Maybe about half of that.
Yeah, that'll be plenty. We're just gonna make a little bit here. All right, so then we're gonna let this one run pretty good, because we want to get it to a nice uniform size before we add the broccoli. Now the broccoli, because of the florets, that tends to break up a lot quicker. So that's why I'm doing it in stages here, because the asparagus is basically a different shape and texture in that. So go ahead and add the broccoli to it now.
Great. Do you mean add all of this or stick to about half?
3/4 is probably plenty for what we're doing here. And again, we made this recipe in a big batch, so you guys can taste it on the side over there as well later. All right, it looks good.
You know, and with the stalks of the broccoli and cauliflower, you can make the coleslaw.
That's right. Cauliflower rice is very popular. Broccoli slaw, I mean, we all see it at Trader Joe's now. It's pretty mainstream. But those are things that you can do to utilize those foods as well.
Great.
All right, we're going to buzz this one up real quick.
Buzz that one.
All right, now we got it to a nice uniform. Now we're going to go with the pine nuts. Now the pine nuts, you can substitute this part of the recipe with anything you want, but whatever it is, I recommend toasting it first, as it kind of just adds another depth of flavor. So pine nuts are classic, but you can use almonds, you can use walnuts, you can not use nuts at all. And
you could use sunflower seeds if you have a nut allergy.
That's exactly right.
There's your tip. There's your pro tip for the dietitian.
Pro tip for the day. All right, we're going to add a pinch or two of this. This is Parmesan cheese. But to make this dish vegan or not use cheese at all, there's obviously a lot of vegan cheese products that are out there. Or if you don't want that cheese flavor in there, you can omit it altogether and just have a vegetable puree with the nuts in there.
I like a little salty parm.
Yeah, that's where we're careful in this dish, because Parmesan tends to be very salty, so you want to be careful with the salt at the end. So we're going to go ahead and puree this with a little bit of pepper. You want to throw a pinch of pepper?
Yes, this is the part where I love, because this makes me feel like a chef. So if you've watched any of my videos till now, this is the part I love on all of my videos. A little salt. You want another one?
Yeah, gotta have some good flavor.
Man, I'm like a real chef today.
Exactly.
I'm gonna put some salt.
Yes, please put some salt.
A little more salt. Look at that.
A couple other ways to enhance this as well. You can add lemon zest and a little bit of splash of the juice works as well. But this and a chili flake to heighten the flavor a little bit too, kind of spice it up. So we're gonna run this now. We've got all of our ingredients. I've kind of pulsed it just to get everything incorporated and around the same size. You see that?
Look at that. That looks amazing.
It's looking like pesto already.
It's starting to look good.
Smell that.
It smells.
What does it smell like? Green vegetables and toasted pine nuts. Isn't that great?
It smells great.
All right, so now I'm going to have you push the green button, and I'm going to slowly add some of the oil that we got from Eco Refill Systems here. So this is the blend that we put. And the key here is to add it slowly so that the oil emulsifies with the cheese and gives you a nice texture. Now, depending on what you're using this for, you want to adjust the temperature. So let's take a look at this one.
Great.
So we have a nice chunk going on here. I'm going to add a little bit more oil to bring it together, but I just want to make sure we were getting there. Now, if you're going to use this to coat pastas and things, I would leave it a little thicker. But if you're using it as a drizzle or maybe just a sauce on a plate, you can leave it a little bit thinner. So you adjust how thick it is by how much oil you add. Okay, and then if it gets a little thick, too much pasty, a little splash of water or lemon juice. Lemon juice will flavor it, but it's a nice enhancement.
You know, a great way to use up some extra lemon peel that you have. Now, I do a lot of things with my lemon peel. One of them is I put it down my garbage disposal because it makes
it makes it smell good.
Makes the whole kitchen smell good. But you can actually use the vegetable peeler and just peel up in little bitty strips, or the zester. The zester works even better.
Yeah.
And you just zest it off and then bake it in your oven for about 35 minutes.
Don't let Reen see more salt going in there.
A lot of salt. I like a little salt. But you can roast it in your oven for about 35 minutes on like 200, and it makes dried lemon peel that, you know, being from Arkansas, I shop at Walmart. It's $7 for a little bottle, or it's basically free.
So here we go with our pesto. I'm just going to put a little bit in a bowl here so you can see a little bit how the color and texture worked out. As you can see, these vegetables actually added to the dish. You know, it's just something different, maybe unique because you don't see it in restaurants very often or all the time at your homes. But a really neat way to use, last night's blanched vegetables. You got them in the fridge. What am I doing tonight? Oh my gosh, I just got home from work. I need to make dinner real fast. Oh, I got that cooked pasta in there as well. So let me make this pesto really quick. Toss it with the pasta. We got a nice fresh pasta salad for the family to eat. That's nice and healthy.
I love
What do you think?
Oh, it smells amazing. I'm gonna try it.
Great. While you do that, I'm going to tell you guys a little more about Imperfectly Delicious Produce. This is a program that we use in all of our cafes that we work with our main produce distributors to use local produce that maybe isn't pretty enough to make it into Walmart's produce section or Whole Foods. You know, that's a little fancy for this produce. So what are we going to do with it? So we actually use these in our cafes, and it's usually stuff like, you know, a mushroom or a potato, but they also do broccoli, and during the summer, green beans. So it all depends on what's going on seasonally. But we definitely do this to make sure that we're contributing to the reduction of water and food waste in America. So we're really proud that we do that and partner with all of our local farmers as well.
Well, let's watch another video on Imperfectly Delicious Produce.
Sounds great.
I often think about it, how are we going to feed the world going forward? What I think about it is, how are we going to get more out of less? The California drought has definitely shown its effects here in the Salinas Valley. If we don't get rain and if we don't have water stored up in reservoirs, it'll affect us greatly. Eventually we'll run out of fresh water, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And so now the challenge for us as farmers and the next generation of farmers is, how do we produce more food to feed more people with less of those resources? And when I walk out into one of our fields and I see the waste left behind, it's disheartening sometimes, because there's a lot out there. It's not because it's inedible, it's not because it's bad quality, it's just because the customer didn't want it that particular way. And at this point it's wasted, but image is everything, and that's unfortunate, you know. Our goal is to grow a crop and utilize 100% of it and not waste any of it.
Compass Group taking the time to reach out to these farmers to create solutions is what we do. We're always asking ourselves, what's next? We do it with the food that we work with, and we're doing it with IDP. It's this beautifully and perfectly delicious produce that would typically be thrown away or go to mulch. The more I tell the story in my cafe, more people hear about it. They give you a thumbs up. Why would we leave this out in the field rather than get it to someone's plate?
With this kind of program, we can begin to utilize more off of every acre, more from every gallon of water.
Our chefs, we get to be creative. Now that we're able to take that creativity to the field, the sky becomes the limit. Where do we go? What's next? I am confident that our chefs will continue to ask what's next.
Well, that is an impressive story, wasn't it? I'm really proud that our company, this is actually our partners at our company that we use, and really proud that we do that. We've been doing it for many years, actually, and each year it keeps getting better as they've increased the variety of produce that we can use. So I'm really proud that we do use that stuff.
Yeah, it is really great. It's a great way to support the community, and it's a great way to make sure that we're not wasting so much food.
Saving water, saving the planet.
Absolutely.
One plant at a time.
Exactly.
So we are going to call out the numbers for the raffle. Thank you everybody who put in your tickets. We will post post the winning numbers on Slack. So pay attention to your ticket numbers. Check on Slack on our Mountain View our Mountain View channel, and we will let you know who the winning numbers are. Please, everybody, stay. We're going to be sampling some of the delicious food that we made today. So we'd love to have you join us for that. And we really appreciate you all coming. Thank you again to our partners at Eco Refill and all of our other partners. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you very much for having us, and go home and do something that we taught you guys today to help reduce food waste in your home. And if you have any ideas for us to do that as well, we love talking about it and sharing ideas. So thanks for having me and Raina and Nate and Dylan here to spend some time with you guys and talk about sustainability.
Thanks. Have a great day, guys.
Everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.